If you dream of your motorcycle, if your day isn't complete without some time in the saddle, if all you need is the open road and a full tank of gas, well, you've come to the right place, because this is Throttled, and it's starting now. Here is your host, Kevin McKinney.
Hello and welcome back to Throttled, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a good live show. While I'm sure it'll be a few weeks or definitely a few days past the big event, but currently the Super Bowl is going on, and we could care less because motorcycles is more important than professional football. So here we are.
I care, Kevin.
You care?
I care. I am big 49ers fan. I care.
Well, you know what? I could understand you being a 49ers fan as they are your local team. Being that my local team is a collegiate team that is no longer playing. I really don't care. Anywho, we got another special guest returning to the show, which I believe we're getting close to where if we need to, in the Motorcycle Podcasters Challenge, if we participate and he has a problem, he could actually be on our team. Ted's back because I think he's been on enough. I'm sure we could finagle that out, but I doubt that's going to happen. I'm just stirring the pot just to stir the pot's sake. Ted, how you doing, buddy?
Good job. Hello, sir. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome. How are you doing? Thank you very much for having me on the show again. Greatly appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You bring a sense of color and style to the show.
Yeah.
I notice how you leave the knowledge part out.
and long hair.
Yes. As my hair is falling out,
and mine is receding.
Yeah. So.
Hey, well, so you got it, you don't got it. Yeah. That's all right. Though.
Well, I had it. It's a thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we got a very interesting, I think, different show today. Well, it's not really different. It's just getting back in kind of the swing of things. We last show, Tom and I just blabbed about BMW Performance Center the entire time, and I'll have that one out here in the next day or so. But so
you certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a lengthy show. I don't think we ever talked about anything really other than that. So, but I mean, some other topics kind of intermingled there, but for the most part, it was pretty good. So, well, let's talk about this. Has anybody been doing any riding in the last week or so?
Ted?
In the last week, as far as I got was start the bike up and run it for about a half hour. That's about it. The weather hasn't been conducive to actual road riding. I've been watching a lot of videos, though.
I learned something new the other day because I was listening to somebody's podcast, and they said that one of the hosts said that a lot of people put out their materials specifically in the winter because that's when they start jonesing for the ride that they can't go take.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whose show that was I was listening to? I just can't remember it. Something. Usually there's like a bunch of crazy brothers or something like that on there. I don't.
Well, I don't know. Anyway. we could look into it.
Yeah, we'll I'm sure it'll turn out later. Something like that'll come back to me. But what about you, Larry? You been out riding any?
Well, as a matter of fact, I did get out earlier in the week. I went to my favorite parking lot to do my cones practice, but unfortunately, they were doing some kind of construction in the area, and they were using the parking lot as kind of a base for all of the construction equipment. So I didn't have the space in the parking lot to set out the cones the way I usually do. So I did some practice in the parking lot using the lines, for the parking spaces, but when the bulldozer started moving around, I left the parking lot and just did a local ride. I went down Highway 1, and it was a beautiful day and it was a beautiful ride, but I did have to cut short my practice.
Larry, on behalf of all the people here in the Northeast United States, we hate you.
And well, you should, because the weather here has been generally beautiful.
Yeah.
What about you?
Anyway.
What about you, Kevin? What have you done?
I did get the TTR 90 out and start it and let it run for about 10 minutes. I got the KTM out of the garage, started it, let it run for about 15 minutes. Kind of screwed around in the cul-de-sac on the KTM, doing some off-balance stuff. That was about it, really. Just some, jonesing for time I don't have to go riding. Today was actually a beautiful day. Today would have been the day to go riding, and I had all manner of plans to do it until I had to have kids in 2 different parts of town at the same time. And so that squashed my riding plans there. And then I was like, well, I'll get my son on the TTR 90, and we go try to put his helmet. And he's never been on it before. So this was like, okay, we're just going to start off in the driveway, and we're just going to kind of ease up the little driveway and then stop. And that never even got to happen because he went to put on his helmet that I bought for him a few months ago, and it was already too small. So luckily, since we haven't worn it, I called. It was a Cycle Gear built helmet, so I called them, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, just bring it back. We'll exchange it." And they're like, "Well, we don't have the next size up. We don't carry that in stock, but we can order it for you." And I'm like, "Well, hold the phone on that." And I've got so he's wearing a youth large. They make an extra large, but they don't keep them in Cycle Gear here. And then they have that version in an adult small. And so there's a big hand reaching towards the mic. Anyway, so the adult small, well, that's the size helmet. We got the same helmet for my daughter, and we purposely got gender neutral colors. And I had him put that on, and it's just slightly too big, really. So,
can you change the pads?
Well, if I did that, I might as well just get a new helmet. I mean, it's not that nice of a helmet. What the heck did you move in front of your microphone?
What?
Oh, a Smurf guitar player. Okay. I just saw like a over top of Kit headset. All right. Anyway, so yeah.
Ted, you're partially obstructed here.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Going back to our previous conversation, why it may not be a good idea. But so anyway, that was kind of an issue that we ran into with trying to get his helmet on, and I thought about having him run out his sister's helmet, and we almost did that. The one thing that I'm really nervous about putting him on the bike is it getting away from him and him slamming into like a neighbor's door or car or something like that and putting his foot out and breaking his leg. Because we don't have boots yet. So I was on the fence. I never really mentioned to him. I was like, hey, just come try on the helmet. I'll make sure it still fits. And then, so I called Cycle Gear and I was like, I need this and this. I need this size helmet and I need this boot. And they didn't have either one in stock. So needless to say, it's a pretty good haul for me to get there from where I'm living. So I didn't feel like making the round trip, which really sucks because before I moved here, it was like, 10 minutes down the road. And then they moved over about a year before I moved out here, which kind of, unfortunate. So yeah, that's kind of my motorcycle journey this week. I got a new coworker that we talk bikes a lot. He's actually going to be a new rider. He's passed the courses and just was keeps asking me for bike advice, and I'm hoping that. And
of course, you're telling him to go to. Of course, you're telling him to go to the local Harley Davidson dealer, right?
He is actually wanting a Harley. That's what he's wanting to do. So, which Harley should I get? And I'm just like, well, because he's preferring one type of bike, and I'm saying, he's wanting new, and I'm like, hey, well, just remember your first bike doesn't have to be your last bike, and the staple cliche stuff that you hear.
Sure.
But I just tried to not really steer him in a direction, but make sure he has all the available decision-making material, and he gave me, he was like, well, since you're an expert, and I said, stop right there. I'm an expert. I am an expert in nothing. I have ridden several different types of motorcycles, and I have experience with new riders, and that's it. I am not by any means an expert. So,
break my bubble. Why don't you?
But I did I did get him, kind of looking at a couple of bikes that he wasn't aware of, and hopefully he gets a chance to go test ride some.
All right. Lloyd, I give up. What is the quintessential old man bike?
Goldwing.
Oh, God. Here it comes.
A KT? No. Rodney's guessing a KTM. I guessed a BMW 900.
Welcome to come to the house.
And we're
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, Rodney's a
sidecar. It must be a Euro.
All right. Well, let's do this. Were you guys able to? Cause Ted, did you get all the news articles and stuff like that I sent you?
Yes, sir. I did.
All right.
Are you going to quiz me now?
No, no, I'm not. Well, let's just start off. And we're going to
take
cover
out a piece of paper, number 1 through 10 set.
1 through
All
10. Please, single space lines.
Okay.
So we're going to start off because I hate this one and I didn't really want to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it first. The Harley Davidson Polaris earnings for, I think, was it Q4, fourth quarter of 2019 came out, right?
Right.
Here we go again.
And, it's all, and here's exactly what happens every time, right? They come out and they say, this is the thing, but if you dig deeper, it's even worse because blah, 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 blah. All right. So I don't want to get into the details of all the numbers and how much and all this crap, right? It's the fact that anytime anybody seems to be able to talk about an American motorcycle manufacturer, they dig for the bad news.
Oh, sure.
But what's bothering me is they're looking deep, but in the wrong places. What are they doing to change? Both Harley and Indian, and honestly, I think Indian needs to play catch up a little bit because Harley's got things, they've put things in motion to change. So why aren't people acknowledging the fact that, hey, Harley's announced all this new stuff, which could keep people from buying a new bike because they've got new stuff coming out that they may be waiting on instead of getting the bike that they want so they could compare and contrast. That could be happening.
I don't think so.
I
don't think so because the bikes that Harley are coming out with are going to appeal to a different market. I don't think somebody is going to hold off on getting, a road glide because Harley's coming out with a Street Fighter.
Exactly.
All right.
I think it's a different market.
Let's just scratch that off the list.
Just saying.
Listen. The thing is what's happening in the market is that what a buyer is going to do, and I have seen this. And Justin, as you know, on my show, he works at a Harley dealer, and he sees this all the time. Guys will come in, and for example, they might buy that Road Glide, and if something comes in, 3 months later that they like even more, they're going to bring back that Road Glide and trade it in and get the other bike. Now, granted, not everybody has that kind of financial resources to do that sort of thing, but that's what the mentality is of the people who are buying Harley Davidsons are. If you don't have it now, I'll get what I want now, and then I'll come back and get it.
Right. But still, those people are not going to be the people that are buying the Bronx or the Pan American.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
No.
So I think that the bottom line is that sales continue to contract slightly for Harley Davidson on their current line of bikes, but they are expecting these new bikes to come in, and hopefully that may rejuvenate Harley, Harley and their bottom line. Unfortunately, I keep hearing things about people in the dealerships, salesmen, still poo-pooing the change to the new bikes. And if that does happen, then it's going to be a bad portent for Harley Davidson in the future.
Well, I would say that I would be surprised if those salespeople hang around. To be quite fair, if you look at Harley as a culture, you look at the changes that they've been making, the investments that they put into this. This isn't like Buell, right? Look at the amount of money they put into Buell. What happened to Buell? Now compare and contrast that to the amount of money that they put into all these other bikes that they're bringing to the market, all these other initiatives that they're trying to do, buying the little electric, the Stasic company, the R&D facility they put up for electric bikes on the West Coast. All these things that they've done, this is the direction the country is taking. And I guarantee you that if that keeps happening, certain people may not be around in the company, and it will be handed down like, hey, sell these bikes or find new salespeople who can sell these bikes. I think you're going to have a different attitude because this isn't an experiment for Harley. This is a change for Harley.
Well, I agree with you. I think this is their, gasp at saving the company, basically, to get people to appeal to new riders and to a different kind of clientele. But the problem is that for so many years, Harley has not only been selling motorcycles, but they've been selling motorcycle culture.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And these new bikes have to develop their own culture, I think, and the people that have been in the old culture are not necessarily that receptive to switching over. So it is a whole cultural shift, and it would be great if both cultures could, coexist. And hopefully that will happen. But it's a tough shift, I think, for the current salespeople and the current, typical Harley clientele.
Well, you know what? What I can see, and I think this is just not limited to Harley Davidson. This goes for Indian and pretty much every motorcycle manufacturer out there. Any dealership you go to, count the number of used bikes they have on their floor that they're also trying to push out.
Yeah.
The people who are walking to those stores are saying, I don't have to spend $30,000 or $25,000 or $16,000. Ooh, look, there's this bike just like exactly what I want, but it's only going for $10,000. So I can tell you the local Harley Davidson dealer where I am, any given time, there is more used Harley Davidsons on their floor than there are new Harley Davidsons. So the people who walk in there, they have a huge choice. And the market is absolutely flooded right now with motorcycles. Mm-hmm. There are so many choices, not just within Harley Davidson, the general rider who's looking to buy a new motorcycle has an immense choice to pick from. So the whole market is going to suffer as a result of it. Which way is it going to go? It's a gamble. Nobody knows because there are so many motorcycles available now. So, you got to be happy with whatever you can sell at this point, and they're not counting used bikes, and I wish everybody would.
Yep.
Well, and go ahead, Larry.
I was just going to say, and I'm one of them. I've never bought a new bike. All the bikes I have been used bikes, and I agree. The market is totally, it's a buyer's market.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can get anything you want. You buy a model that's 2 or 3 years old, and you can get it for a fraction of what it would cost new.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know that, my local Harley dealers, they do have a lot of used bikes. I don't think to the degree that you do, Ted, but I also know that they've got like 3 dealerships, and they probably move inventory around a little bit to help balance that out some.
That's quite possible. That's quite possible.
It's I just feel that's the case because they have multiples of everything new, but then only maybe one of them used. But they do turn over a lot of bikes. I mean, they usually sell more than at least a bike, if not more, a day. By just following on if you follow their social media. So they seem to be doing okay. It's like they're always posting, hey, somebody, and they do. I mean, when I say they sell a bike, it is a new or used bike. If I said that, let me correct myself. But there are moving bikes, and these numbers that they're talking about, like you said, these are new bikes. But if they're getting rid of old inventory and they're making a profit on it, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Why aren't those numbers being counted? I guess they're only interested in what they're pushing out. That's new off the assembly line.
Right.
But I don't know. But every time I go into my local dealer, somebody's walking out with a new bike. Every time I go there, somebody just bought a new bike.
Yeah.
I don't know. Of course, it's
Well-
always the same model too. It's always a street glide or a road glide.
Right.
Nobody's buying anything else.
So
Yeah,
let me
this-
ask you this, Ted, our resident Harley guy, and this was just coincidence that we happen to be talking about Harley tonight. The Livewire, if I remember right, it sold out. Like their initial running sold out, and a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people like, "Oh, Livewire, they're everywhere. You could just pick them up cheap." And I actually heard that today, and I'm like, "Well, no, you can't,
No.
and you won't be able to." But you see that out there where people are just wanting it to fail, and to me, it's you can fight that fight all you want to. You're going to
it's
lose.
funny because I was told by the Harley rep at the IMS in New York that one of the reasons why you can't get a test ride on a live wire is because they're all allocated.
Yeah.
And I said, and to verify that, I asked Justin from my show, I said, is this true? He goes, we have on order right now 4. We have 2 on the floor. Nobody can ride them because they're sold.
Yeah.
So
So the problem is that they've only actually released a relatively small number of bikes, as you say, to people that pre-ordered them,
Mhm.
and what Levitech said in this article is that they'll know a lot more when in the spring, because that's when they're going to be funneling more of these bikes into the pipeline. And then we'll see how many people are, how many of them are actually purchased.
And I gotta say, I think this is a smart move by Harley to do that, to filter and release under controlled circumstances, because we've all seen tech launches that go horribly wrong, right? This is a brand new product for them with new technology that they are not equipped to handle on a large scale. Not all dealerships can handle them. The amount for a dealership to get into it is astronomical. So, it takes a while to see this kind of bleed out, and so to be able to control the amount of demand and the amount of product and still keep demand high, I think is a smart thing to do. And it kind of helps them kind of scale up to a point where they're comfortable with and they don't get bombarded. Especially, everybody's already waiting for the first electrical battery recall because something caught on fire when somebody stopped and put the left foot on a rubber hose and the right foot on something else, and the bike just blew up, right? We're all waiting on that. And if it doesn't happen, then go buy the bike, right? So I'm not really waiting on that. I just made it, but whatever.
But what I find interesting about this whole thing is that through all the complaining and all the comments, all negative comments you hear from the motorcycle general public, what you don't see is anybody saying, well, where's Indian's electric bike? Where's Honda's electric bike?
Yeah.
And nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
So Harley Davidson is the major manufacturer here, aside from Zero, Energica, and those that have released an electric bike. And we should be proud of that. Everybody should be happy to see that instead of complaining about it.
Well, and it's because it's Harley, It's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I'm eager to see the Pan America. I was actually negotiating.
Me too. Yeah.
I want to see it in person, and I want to ride it.
You didn't see that? You didn't go to the IMS show?
I'm in Alabama.
So,
no
it'll
IMS
come
anywhere
here.
close. Like it's like they carve out the South and go, no suit for you. I mean, we don't get. Well, I really don't have any shows like that other than Barber. And
So
that's
did
all
you see the
vintage.
Pan America? Did you
I
see
did.
the Pan America?
I did.
Was it still in a
Yes.
glass case, or did you actually get to like?
No,
touch
it's in the glass case. But just for your knowledge, Kevin, IMS is going to be in Florida next year.
Well, it's not like it's next door either.
Well,
It's closer.
I mean,
better than
let's take a 6. A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Where in Florida?
That I do not know.
Okay, because if it's in Daytona or Orlando, it's about the same.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, about the same as Ohio.
Okay. But yes, I did see the Panamera, and it was in behind the case. But I got to tell you, it's a gorgeous motorcycle.
I agree.
And I mean, the things that they've changed, the fact that they listened to initial criticism
They
and immediately
did.
changed things, I was
they
just like,
listened.
you got rid of the blinkers. Awesome, because the blinkers were the stupidest idea ever for anybody that's ever ridden off-road. Whoever was the first off-road rider, they had already had that fix in the works. It's like, yeah, you're not going to do that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's not going to happen. But anyway, to get back to it, I was actually at a dealership yesterday in Anniston where I'm going to be coaching at this year. And they were talking about, Harley is trying to get salespeople from every dealership that has an adventure bike experience,
Right.
and like, hey, go take a venture class, go take an enduro class. You need to start learning how to speak and talk adventure. And right now they're just doing what's available, but I'm sitting here thinking, if Harley did it right, partnering with somebody and putting on their own would be a fantastic way to do that. It would be a huge investment. But if you had one per state, one local area per state where you could go out and take a adventure class on the new Harley Davidson adventure bike, that would be fantastic way of spreading and educating, just like they try to do with the new rider course and the Street 500 series, except actually put them on the bike that they're looking to ride. It wouldn't be a never ever course. It would be, hey, you need to have ridden motorcycles before, like for a while, not like 6 months, right? You need to be in motorcycles. We're not going to teach you how to use a clutch. We're not going to teach you how to use a brake. We're not going to teach you how to, do the basics of a motorcycle. We're going to teach you how to ride a motorcycle off-road the right way, considering it's a big bike.
I can assure you, Harley Davidson was one of the most covert organizations ever, and I bet you they got something going on.
We'll see.
I think when the Pan America and the Bronx get into the showrooms, it's going to generate a lot of buzz and a lot of interest.
Hey, how big is the Bronx physically?
Comparison, I would say it's like it's similar to the Super Duke, about the same size as a Super Duke. You saw it, right, Larry?
I've seen pictures of it. I haven't seen it in person, but it's a street fighter bike.
Yeah,
I would compare it more to like a Monster.
Yeah,
Monster,
there you go. That's it. That's the one. Monster.
Yeah.
So, I wish they made a slightly smaller version of it, because the Bronx is a bike I would want to teach people how to ride motorcycles on, not the Street 500. Give me a 500 version of the Bronx that I could teach people on. A little bit lighter. What I'm wanting to do is on the lower size. I know we could programmatically govern the motorcycle. I'm more worried about weight. Give me something weight-wise that's just slightly lighter, and let me teach somebody to ride on one of those instead of the Street 500. I can't find a coach in the world that says, you know what, the Street 500 is an awesome motorcycle to teach somebody to ride on. Have yet to find one.
But don't you need a lower seat height for a training bike?
What is the street height from the Bronx?
I would imagine it's going to be around 30, 31 inches.
Yeah, probably in that area. They're not releasing any data on it yet, but yeah, it's probably going to be right on there.
Yeah, I mean, I would want a little bit smaller bike, little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But I mean, even those Suzuki 250s that I've taught people on, there's some people who can't ride them. And we got to go get like Kawasaki Eliminators, and those are too tall. At some point, there's a limit of how much.
Honda Rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but you're not going to find a lot. I mean, I need a Harley, because that's the thing. If you're coaching at a Harley dealership,
you need a Harley, right?
They want to use Harleys. And
course.
so now they used to use Buells, right? How much bigger is a Bronx than the
That
Buell?
I don't know.
Yeah, they used to use Buells when it wasn't the Riding
You know
Academy
what?
and it was the
It's funny you should say that.
First start.
I would say it's probably about the same size as the Buell Blast.
then that's what they used to use is the Buell Blast.
That's the same size.
I think it was a
That's
Blast.
right.
It was a Buell that they used to use when they first did their I think it was Rider Start program or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the old curriculum, but that would be awesome to see them do is to say, hey, we realize this isn't the best option for teaching. This other new bike is, and replace the fleet. Of course, the problem is they make the dealers buy the bikes.
Yes.
There's another, how many $1,000 investment that dealers are already making.
Just to continue on with the article that we were talking about that started the discussion. In contrast to what Harley is currently reporting, KTM is basically saying that they've had a banner year for them,
Go big orange.
and that
I believe that.
and that their sales have increased even in the United States, although here it's been a very small increase. But I'm sorry, KTM has reported that, but in the article they talked about Indian and Polaris, and it's Polaris that reported a increase in sales in the U.S. Overall, and Polaris, it turns out, is actually a bigger company than Harley. Although, of course, they have other vehicles aside from motorcycles.
So then you have to question where those quarterly sales increases. Is that a broad stroke right across the entire company, or is that specific to a division?
I think they go on to say that the motorcycle unit
has increased. Yeah.
Yeah, there was something in it that made me.
The motorcycle increased a little bit. The slingshots were problematic.
Go figure.
Not surprisingly, but motorcycle sales increased, and especially because of the new Challenger. They said that this has actually boosted their sales, and the slingshot has not been doing well, and they've also had recalls on it that hasn't helped. But overall, they've increased sales in motorcycles, parts, apparel, and accessories.
So to quickly talk about something about the Challenger, I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they put it out there, right? However, I really feel that they need to go the other way.
They do.
Because you got something for the Street Glide. You really have something, in the Victory cross country, the Indian Challenger, that goes right towards the Road Glide. Right. You got your touring bikes. You got all your different 1,000 versions and colors of something, and blacked out and not blacked out, and your Springfields, and you got all that basis covered. Right. You got your fast track, your flat track bike, all that. Where is your naked bike? Where is your ADV bike? Where are your dual sport bikes? Become a full-fledged motorcycle company.
Where's your electric bike? Yeah,
Where's your electric bike?
Well, they came out with the FTR. They came out with the FTR.
Yep.
And that is a move away from their typical bagger type bikes. So I think that they're trying to move in that direction as well, but they're definitely not moving as fast as Harley Davidson is.
And that's what I was getting at. They are being left behind, and if they don't pick it up, they're going to become stagnant. Now, they may be waiting to see before they release anything. And this is actually where I think Harley had a double-edged sword they dealt with, right? They came out and said, look, things look like they're going to be turning bad. Here's all the things we're doing differently, because obviously what's working isn't working for us anymore. What we've done in the past isn't working for us. We're going to be doing things differently. Here's everything we're doing. Laid it out to 2022. This is our bike plan for all these new models. And now we're waiting on them, and we're waiting on them, and we're critiquing them, and we're waiting on them.
Anticipation.
Yeah, but if you're familiar with tech, right? There's anticipation, and then there's a fatigue. People just get tired of waiting on it, and they've seen this thing, and they've seen it, and yeah, it's still under the glass. It's under the glass last year, still under the glass, still can't get on it. People lose interest in the news related to it because they don't actually think they're going to learn anything new. I'm wondering if Indian is holding their cards a little bit closer to the chest and saying, we're going to wait and see how this thing with Harley plays out before we commit. They're doing the research, they're doing everything behind the scenes, but they want to see kind of how the success and what minor tweaks they might need to make to their bikes given the feedback of the Harleys. Then they make those little tweaks, and then all of a sudden just drop, boom, here's a bike coming out in 6 months.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think they're sleeping on their sword if they're doing that. I think they, if they got something in the works, build up the anticipation to get people interested. Now, granted, the Challenger created a lot of interest in what they're doing, but then I heard it when I was at IMS New York. I heard it. People are going, it's a road glide.
Yep.
Come on, Indian.
It's really a cross country if it's anything.
And the thing is, and I look, I don't disparage Indian whatsoever. They do great stuff. They create great bikes. But look, Polaris and Indian and Victory are all under the same roof. Why isn't Indian, or why isn't the powers that be tapping into that technology and the styling that they had with the Victory motorcycles?
Well, if you look at it, that cowl on the front of that bike is that's why I keep calling it a cross country, because it looks.
Yeah.
It looks like an updated version of the cross country. So to me, that's exactly what they did on that bike. But they've got all that electric technology that they were running up Pikes Peak on the Indian side too.
Yep. The Impulse. I don't know why they stopped with that.
Yeah. It should have just become, now it's the Indian Impulse, and moving on. And just admit, hey, this is a R&D bike. We're just going to keep tweaking and messing and tweaking and learning, and that's what we're doing. It's a R&D. It's an experiment. That's what it is. So, and just kept it up, but instead they just squashed it. And I just don't understand that. And instead of creating all the buzz that it created every time it showed up someplace, they killed it.
The entire riding community has got their palms up going, what? Why not? They're all saying the same thing.
Yeah. But we don't run $1 million businesses.
That's right.
So apparently there is a number on a spreadsheet that doesn't make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I also last week had seen an article that about Harley has a design for an electric flat track bike.
What?
Yep. Saw that.
And yeah, and so again, it's kind of Harley sort of being proactive and really designing new and appealing bikes in both electric and non. And I think that's kudos to Harley. I think when these bikes start filtering into the showrooms, it's going to really create a lot of buzz and interest and potentially increase their sales.
Sure. Oh yeah. I have a prediction as it is right now, because we did our prediction show right at the end of the year. And my prediction is that the third and fourth quarter of 2021, when they've announced the release of the Pan America, sales are going to go through the roof.
Well, everybody's saying that it all depends on their pricing.
Yep.
Rumor mill has it coming in at 19
for the Pan America.
For the Pan America.
How well equipped? That's the question. Because if you go and you look at like a baseline GS, that's about where a baseline GS is. However, to actually kit a GS to go off road is much more. You're thousands.
Well, I'm sure they're
more.
not going to include. They're not going to include the panniers and the top box. I'm sure they're not doing that.
Right.
But I think as what we saw on the floor at the IMS, I think that's what they're going to be showing at 19.
So here's the question: did you look at the engine protection? Did it have engine guards on it?
Yes.
All right. Did it
Absolutely.
have a good bash plate on the bottom?
Yes. Compared to the one that we saw in the original version when it was first released, the first one looked like a piece of plastic. But this
Yeah.
is a chunky piece of metal they got down there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So the question is, are those going to come standard or are those going to be optional?
I would.
Yeah.
Why would they make that optional?
Because
really.
everybody else does, and it makes money. See, so like what is it? BMW, they've got the GS, right, and it comes without all that stuff. Then you have the GSA, the Adventure one, and it has upgraded engine guards and different windshields, and I think option for a different seat, and upgraded accessories to where it's more showroom to dirt ready. Maybe not perfect, but close.
So help me understand here. So you're telling me that the BMW, the 1200 GS Adventure, you couldn't buy that thing, drive off the showroom, and then go off road with it.
The Adventure, yeah, you pretty much can. The GS, you can. I wouldn't, but you can.
Okay. All right.
Right. I mean, it's like most adventure bikes. The Super Tenere, right? Adventure bike. It's got a plastic bash plate. It had no engine guard protection on it whatsoever. No radiator protection. So you're looking at, well, okay, what's, and if you really look at okay, I'm gonna go buy a new adventure bike. So what is on the list of things that you're going to improve? Most likely you're going to want to improve the seat. Now the BMWs actually have decent seats, but I don't know what the thing that I've seen on the Harleys hasn't looked that comfortable, but I haven't sat on it, so I can't say. But you're going to want to improve the seat. You're going to want to probably tweak the positioning of the handlebars, maybe get yourself some risers if you're tall like me. You're going to want to make sure you've got quality engine guard protection, a bash plate for the bottom. I keep calling it bash plate. I can't think of the real term. I don't know why. Radiator protection, depending on where the radiator is located. You may want to upgrade the foot pegs because they're too narrow for true off-road stuff. You can't really position a foot right on it. And a lot of people want to upgrade the exhaust because they sound crappy coming out and they want to upgrade it. Those are the 7 things, not even mention the windshield. So if we throw that in there, there's 8 things that on most adventure dual sport bikes, most people end up replacing pretty close off the bat after they get them.
Okay.
There's exceptions to that rule. But if you go and you read all the forums and you start looking at that stuff, yeah, I mean, I love my bike, I did whatever, but over time, if you go back and you watch the threads, well, they've replaced the exhaust because they don't like the sound of it. They replaced the foot pegs because, they wanted a bigger platform. They've, added engine guards because they didn't come with any plate, undercarriage, bash plate, skid plate because they didn't have one or it was plastic. Those are the things. So if Harley is actually paying attention to that and saying, look, you're going to get this stuff and we're going to charge you to where you could take ours and take it straight out. And we're going to put quality tires on it and you can take it straight out. Good for them because that's what.
Well, how
they
they
need
market?
to do.
Are they? Well, let me ask you. How are they marketing this? Are they calling it the Pan America Adventure Bike, or are they just calling it the Pan America? That's going to determine how they present it on the showroom floor. Because if they promote it or advertise it as an adventure bike, they damn well better include everything that the rider needs to leave the showroom and then hit the trails.
Well, the competition.
I think
doesn't
it's a direct. Yeah, right. It's direct competitor to the GS and the Multistrada, and I think that maybe it will come with the accessories, but I doubt it too. I think that if you want to get the engine guards and the stronger bash plates and stuff like that, you're going to pay for it.
Sure. All right. I agree.
But I think it is going to be a direct competitor to the GS, and if it starts at under 20,000, I think that'll be competitive price-wise as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't see. I mean, if you look at the 2 biggest dogs in that, over-liter adventure bike is KTM and BMW.
Right.
KTM
Exactly.
is the dirt champion. BMW is the road champion. I see them going more after the BMW than the KTM.
The touring, the touring aspect of
It's
it.
you're going to take this bike, you're going to ride to a place, you're going to have an awesome ride, you're going to get back. Whereas the KTM is you're going to ride to this place, you're going to have a spectacular ride, and then ride back. It's which one does what better, and that's the way it's kind of always been. Is the BMW is better on the road, it's got the better road manners, and the KTM is better in the dirt because it's kind of born more from a dirt area, right? It's got and they've BMW's done some things here lately that the GS 1250 has a little bit better torque curve, it doesn't fall off a cliff like the KTMs. Normally KTMs like to be run hard. The BMW's just got this nice little torque curve that I'd have a hard time choosing between the two because it would depend on what I'm really going to do with it versus what I want to do with it, kind of a situation. What I'm going to do with it is probably more of a BMW. What I really want to do with it is more towards the KTM.
Gotcha.
Reality sets in. I'm probably more of a BMW when it comes to the 1290 Adventure versus the GSA or the GS. And the GSA does have a larger gas tank. I mean, that's another thing about it, but we're not talking about that. Anyway, I'm very eager to see what that bike does and what it can do. I think the thing is people are going to be surprised, but then it's not going to quite be where some of the other bikes are. And that's going to get a lot of, but for the money, pay a little bit more and go get blah. I think that's what it's like. Hey, it's a great bike. It does its thing. Harley should be commended. Good on them. But if, then you always get that when on these online routes. But if it was in my garage, I'd have to go with tried and true over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what always happens in those. We'll see. And it really depends on how much Harley's willing to throw it out there and let people ride it off-road in those circumstances. I don't know, like say a training class or something.
Yeah.
But I know nothing of a training class. I just hope that they do one. I don't think they are because it takes a long time to develop those, and the liability is astronomical.
Yeah, they've been developing for a while, but you know what this is right here? This conversation that we're having now is the same conversation that the entire world had when Harley Davidson introduced the Livewire.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. So look
Well,
how that turned out.
Well, they have advertised it as an adventure touring bike in America.
Yeah. All right.
And
GS.
So that's and it looks like it is equipped for some off-road use. And I'm sure
if you look at the specs,
promote it that way.
It lines up better with the GS and the KTM.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm going to pick a dog. I'm going to pick a fight with the slightly bigger dog in the room. I'm not going to go for the one that's got me just beat on paper, hands down. I'm going to go with the one that, hey, I got a puncher's chance here. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Well, let's take a second to thank our Throttle crew members real quick. Autumn, Jerry, John, Rodney, Nick, Don, Alex, David, Ralph, Paul, Stephen, Lloyd, Michael, Dan, TC, Jorge, Randy, Sean, James, Tyler, Paul, Jeff, and Chuck. Thank you guys so much for contributing and helping out with the show. We really appreciate everything you do to keep us on the air each and every week. If you would like to become a Throttle crew member, go to the website throttledpodcast.com, scroll to the bottom, click on the Patreon logo, and you can get signed up there. We really appreciate every one of you, and we would not be here without you. All right, back to it. So moving on past Harley Davidson and all their numbers and Indian and all their numbers and all that talk, right? KTM comes out, right? We kind of mentioned this before. They're selling motorcycles hand over fist, had a record-breaking year or something like that. And they've got more plans using Gas and Husqvarna to get more road bikes out there. really killing it worldwide and trying to just strengthen their position by having, listen to this, all American motorcycle manufacturers, bikes at all different price points, doing all different types of riding.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Right.
companies that were strictly dirt-based bikes for the most part, that are now transitioning to all these other types of bikes. And look where they're at, record sales worldwide. What's taking so long for all these other manufacturers?
And they have small displacement bikes.
Mm-hmm. Diversity.
Yep.
I think that's what the market is moving towards, is smaller displacement bikes.
I mean, don't you kind of get a sense of a market facepalm anytime you see somebody come out with a new leader bike or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if Harley came out and said, "Hey, we're going to come out with a new engine and it's going to be, 25,000 cc's," and it's just like, oh God, another one. Really, can we not just? I got a guy over here who would love a slightly smaller, more ergonomic bike to just commute to work back and forth in. Doesn't really want a scooter, kind of just smaller bike.
Harley Davidson just did release their 131 cubic inch
Yeah, right.
Eagle engine. So
Right.
I know.
And what are you supposed to do with the old engine?
sell it.
Hey, boat
Put it
anchor
in
for
your
your
Sportster?
yacht that you must be able to afford. I don't know.
Right.
Put it in your Sportster. I don't know.
No, but I think part of the point is that the future does seem to be moving towards smaller displacement bikes, not just for newcomers, but also for more experienced riders. And KTM is offering that. Ducati is offering that. BMW is offering that. I think that that is part of the future of where motorcycling is going.
All right.
All right. So
Yeah.
obviously, we believe. Well, first, congrats to KTM, but we believe that diversity is going to help you out here. And if you look at who's actually selling more bikes across worldwide markets, it's those that are more diverse. That's all I can really say about that. So let's talk about something other than sales numbers. Let's see. I'll let you guys choose. I take it back. I'm not going to let you choose. We're going to talk about the Yamaha scooters, because I know we have a growing part of our audience that are scooter fans and riders. Is Paul? I don't see Paul on tonight. He's probably watching the game. So they have 3 electric Yamaha scooters from the Tokyo Auto Show that have been released. One of them is I call cute. The other 2 kind of look futuristic. I don't know if I'd really say futuristic, just more modern, more what I've been seeing from other manufacturers, just in a smaller electric version.
Angular.
Huh?
Angular.
Angular?
That's what they look like.
Angular. You got to say it right. You ain't saying it right, boy. All right, so we start off with the Yamaha Evino. Now, okay, I'm going to say right now, we're about to get a lot of electric things coming out. Can we just go ahead and agree to drop the E? Let's just.
I think it's apparent.
Yeah, let's just knock it off, because I mean already we've got. I mean, okay, so I'm going to tell you the 3 bikes: the Evino, the EO1 Concept, the EO2 Concept. I wonder what the E stands for in all 3 of those bikes.
Well, I think it's important to differentiate
Ergonomic.
I think it's important to differentiate them from, the combustion engine bikes. So,
well, and I mean, I guess there are only so many words, to go. I mean, with like electricity and bolts and, live wires. I mean, we have started to exhaust that list as well, and giving credit that, standard, I guess, numeration may work better here. Anyway, all right. So back to the Evino.
I thought that was a Vespa when I first saw it.
yeah, it looks like it.
And that's it. That's why I said it looks cute. It's very Vespa-ish, Vespa inspired. I think would be a good thing. And honestly, that's what I would expect. Well, no, I expect a Vespa, electric Vespa, to be a little bit larger in stature than that. But all All right, so I know Ted, you just showed up on a great night. We're just all in your wheelhouse today. So with these scooters, what do you guys think of the Evino?
Go ahead, Ted.
I'd be all over that. Come on. That thing is awesome.
Is it because it's orange? I'm just asking.
No, well, it's not only that, but it's because it's dorky looking and it looks like a boatload of fun to ride. You know?
This, honestly, I see you in Key West.
Hell yes,
This
dude.
is exactly
I'm all
where
over
I
that. Come on.
See this at.
And I tell you what, I see all these companies down in the Keys, in Florida, in Key West, gobbling these things up because now they don't have to worry about fuel and oil, and they can just push these things out. They have charging stations all over the place down there anyway, so I could see these things going to be all over the place down there. They're awesome.
All right, what do you think, Larry?
Well, I personally tend to prefer the more futuristic looking bikes. The Evino, basically is designed to look like a Vespa.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that style is kind of outdated. I think that electric bikes should reflect the future, not the past.
Well, here's a core concept about this one. The battery can be easily replaced, great for when you don't have time for charging. So you have two batteries. Lord knows how much that would cost. You charge one and you bring it home, you swap it out, you put the other one on the charge, you run back out, you come back in, you swap it out. Maybe that's a viable thing. Or, we've already talked several times, Larry, about how in some places you have little vending machines for batteries.
Right.
Who knows if that will be a concept. Or you pull into a dealership and they're just like, hey, you need a battery? I got your battery. And they swap out your battery.
Well, I think Yamaha is part of a consortium that is trying to standardize the batteries that they use in the e-bikes, and so they their idea may very well be to have vending machines that offer charged batteries for you to swap at various locations, and it would happen first in Japan.
Wow.
All right. So to quickly move on to the Yamaha E01 concept. This futuristic and apparent, the Yamaha E01 concept scooter is designed to work in the performance range of 125cc four-stroke motors. What do we think about the bike, the scooter that has slicks on it? Apparently,
well, that's just I think a
bad computer rendering.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll have street type tires, and look at that seat. I mean, that seat, it looks like you could have three people sitting on it.
Your size people and my size people are completely different size people.
Well,
Exactly.
we're talking about the Asian market here.
Yeah. I'd be curious what the range of these things are. And that's going to determine how they're going to be received. For the commuter, somebody who lives, for the urban environment, for your San Francisco 8. Is that what you call yourselves? The guys from San Francisco 8? San Franciscoan?
Sure. Well, whatever you like.
Your Los Angeles person, somebody in New York City. It might be ideal for them. Because you can scoot around easy. But for somebody who has to commute, like me, 50 miles to work, no.
Well, you could certainly make it one way and then charge it at work. And if you have a fast charger, it will be more than ready by the time you're ready to go home.
So, or the swappable battery.
I hear that like, oh, you just charge it when you get to work.
Yeah.
You realize that's not really for most people a viable option. I mean, a lot of people just charge it when you get to work. Let me crawl under my desk, open up the window, throw an extension cord out the front of it, and go plug it in while I'm at work. Most places don't have charging stations, and the ones that do, there's like 3 of them, and there's always a car there. I've never seen an available one yet. And they're like they're progressive because they have a charging station. So we're not there yet for that option, but I hear it all the time. We'll just charge while you're at work. Excuse me. I'd like to run an extension cord about 600 feet out to where I park today. Would you mind picking up my tab on my electric for my bike?
Okay. Well, this kind of complaint has been heard before.
Yeah.
And it's a chicken and egg thing. You need to have the demand before you have the, infrastructure, and then you need the infrastructure to meet the demand. So ultimately, I think that the more these bikes appear on the roads, the more the demand for the charging stations, the more that they will appear. In California, charging stations are ubiquitous, and the issue here is, though, having a charging station that could accommodate a bike as well as a car. Even the cars are not standardized in terms of their charging ports, and that's something that I think that needs to happen before this can really become viable. But happen it will, and in part it's going to happen because there's a demand for it.
Right, exactly.
I have a feeling the Tesla port is what's going to end up taking over.
Well, maybe, and I hope so, because
Yeah.
they're great cars, and they really have advanced the cars. In fact, they're coming out with a model that has a 400-mile range.
What?
Well, the
Yeah,
truck's supposed to have a 500-mile range, right?
yeah, right.
What?
Yeah. So
Now,
so
I mean,
it's
'cause
it's happening.
Here's the thing people forget about Tesla, and I have read this. I don't know firsthand if it's true, but their patents are free to use to anybody else.
This is true.
On the condition that if you develop something off of their patent, so if you have a patent that integrates their patent, it is also free to use. So if you improve or whatever off of there, you have to share that freely to the industry. And that's the only gotcha. But if I see a lot of startups coming up that are just like, hey, we don't need, I mean, if you're giving us the answer to the problem and we don't have to spend all that money R&D and something like that, and I've already got manufacturers for the parts that we can get, go for it, and that's how you're going to get that standardization. I think is it's going to be a demand from clients of, well, I want, I'm not going to buy yours because it doesn't charge at the charging port I have like right across the street because there's more Tesla chargers than anywhere else, right? So
Sure.
That's how that could happen. Or the EU could just come in and say, nope, this is your plug. Sorry, everybody else, this is what you're going to use. And right now, Tesla's really the only one. The EU has a lot more charging stations, but they're the only ones I think that have a chance to make that happen over there.
Yeah.
All right, so
Nice.
Let's look at the EO2, which I think is kind of a hybrid between the Evino and the E1 concept.
Yeah, except it has a rear wheel motor.
Well, I mean, just looks wise,
Right.
but yeah. You're right.
Well, you're right.
Rear wheel motor.
Yeah. But in terms of the technology, it's a different technology that they're using on the bike. But it does look like a cross between a Vespa type scooter and a more futuristic one.
Where's Honda in all this? Where's Suzuki? Where's BMW? What?
Well, BMW does have electric scooters.
Yeah.
So this is all just Yamaha right now.
Right.
Well,
But this,
the others have come up with concepts, and I mean we've mentioned. Well, I know we've mentioned Honda. I don't think we've mentioned Suzuki.
we have not.
Yeah.
We have not. Suzuki and Kawasaki is kind of out of the picture at the present time.
But I mean, if you look at traditionally, they're not trendsetters as much as followers, for the most part. There's exceptions to that rule. Don't send me hate mail. Send it to Larry. But it's yes, that. So, but final thoughts on this?
Well, I just wanted to inject some scooter information and technology, because I do think that part of the future of motorcycling actually does depend on the adoption of scooters particularly in the urban environment. And so, anything we can do to promote and encourage that is worth doing.
Absolutely. Agreed.
All right. Well, the fans have asked for it, and it's time it returns. I believe we have some paddock news.
Paddock. Well,
we do have some paddock news, and it is kind of earth-shaking, I think. The it has to do. A lot of this has to do with Yamaha, and one of the things that has happened is that Yamaha announced that Fabio Quartararo will be replacing Valentino Rossi in the factory Yamaha motor team starting in 2021.
Wow.
So that's big news, obviously.
Yeah.
Now,
Does Rossi know?
of course he does. He's been part of he has been part of the negotiation, and Yamaha has at the same time. And this is kind of like having your cake and eating it. Yamaha has announced that they will support Rossi in whatever he wants to do. So if he wants to race in the 2021 season, they will give him a factory spec bike and team to support him. However, it won't be the official Yamaha team. It will be a, sort of a private team with the with their full spec bike and support for it. So if he wants to race in 2021, they will support him.
I have a question with regard to that.
Yes.
So Rossi says, okay, fine, I'll put together my own team. Can he still compete in the same races as the Yamaha squad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he would put together, quote, his own team. I think, he has a lot of leeway with Yamaha. So I think last year he actually changed his mechanic on his team, the chief mechanic, to somebody else, and so he has a lot of say as to who goes into his team anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, I think if he wanted this person or that person to be part of his team, Yamaha would go along with it. But they're basically saying, we'll give you everything that we would have given you if you were on the official team, but we only have 2 spots for racers, and we think the future is with Quartararo, and they're quite right, and Vinales, and they're quite right about that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that, in addition to that, another big piece of news was that the Jorge Lorenzo, who, as you may know, retired this year from racing, is going to be a test rider for Yamaha. And that does open the window, apparently, if sometimes they need a substitute rider, that he could actually do that and return to racing in MotoGP, although he has said that he's through with MotoGP and because of the physical problems that he has had. So this is interesting too. I think it does strengthen the Yamaha team to have him as a test rider. And, they do have a backup in case somebody else fails, or is injured. So, next year is going to be very, very interesting. I anticipate that Rossi is going to try to be very competitive next year and look for him to have podium finishes.
I'd like to see that.
It's
been a while. It's been a while for him. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, he's had podium finishes, last year. Unfortunately, they were not first place finishes. I think he had a couple of second place podiums, and but he has struggled all year for reasons that are not clear to me. But I think he is motivated, and Yamaha is going to support him in terms of having him come back and see what he can do for a final season, and see if he can be really competitive. And so, yeah, it's going to be, of course, very, very interesting. And of course, Marquez is the favorite for next year, and he has his brother Alex Marquez on his team as well, and that's going to be very interesting to see how he does next year racing in MotoGP for the first time. So yeah, this is going to be a very, very interesting season. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll keep you posted.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's going to bring us towards the end of the show.
Oh,
sad.
Boo-hoo.
I don't know how to take that one, really. So why don't we do this? Ted,
Yes.
You're on the show all the time. Everybody should know this. Where can the individuals find you out there on the old interwebs?
Okay, well, you can go to motorcyclemen.us. That's the website for the Motorcycle Men podcast. We are on iTunes, and of course, you can catch us out on Apple podcasts. Of course, we're also on. I can't remember where else we're on, but anyway, we have a show coming up. But we're coming off of our winter break. Starting tomorrow is going to be our first studio show in a month. I've been doing a bunch of interviews. And right now I have an additional 4 interviews in the can that have yet to be released. So check us out. We've got some great stuff up there right now.
Yes, you do.
I did enjoy your BDR interview.
Wasn't that good? Holy crap,
really
that was a great interview.
I'm
In fact,
sitting here being
to-
like, when are you going to give the South some love? Seriously. Y'all up in the Northeast, you got the West Coast where,
Yeah.
help me. Because trust, down here, you would think you look at a map and it's like, hey, it's all forest. You should have plenty of places to ride. You'd think. Not so much.
Yeah. I am actually going this week. I'm going to the Northeast BDR premiere at here locally in New Jersey. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I want to see you on an adventure bike and riding it in the dirt.
Yes, so do I.
That'll be
So do I.
something.
Yeah, so do I. I want to
Yeah.
see that. Absolutely.
All right. So you could follow us on Twitter at Throttle Show, Instagram Throttle Show, and Facebook Throttle Podcast. We do try to do this show once a week, Sundays, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific. And we start the show with a little coming soon clip, 15 to 30 minutes before the show, and put that link up on Facebook and Twitter. So that's how you can kind of know. If you go to YouTube, you can find us, search for Throttled Podcast there, and you'll be able to find it there. And we'll be getting a link hopefully up on the website whenever I remember to get around to it. And that's the best way to do that. If you are watching the show, subscribe, make sure you give us a thumbs up on the episodes that you watch that you like. That really helps us show up more and get more viewers in and everything there. We do like to get feedback. I got several feedback messages that were quite long, and all of them were just like, hey, please don't share this. This is just information. So I enjoyed reading those. I appreciate everybody that sent those in, but you can send us feedback at throttledpodcast.com. Don't forget, you can go to the website, throttledpodcast.com, click on the contact button and do that as well. We've had a couple people order some shirts lately, so that was kind of cool to see. So you can also go to the website and click on our store icon and get some shirts and stuff there. So all that kind of helps the show out. We really appreciate it. Larry, any parting words for our wonderful listeners?
No, just to say that it's been great having you all here. Ted, it's
Thank you,
always
sir.
a delight. It's always a delight to see you and have you on the show. And so, what I say is what I usually say: ride safe, ride your own ride, and have fun.
Ted, do you have any parting words?
Everybody, in anticipation of spring coming very soon, get out there, clean your bikes out, show it love, and get ready to ride and be safe and dress appropriately.
That goes for everybody except for you guys in California, because you still all suck.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted said it first. I'm just saying. Yeah, we're just jealous. That's all. Yeah.
And
So
deservedly so.
everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for listening to the show. You guys are all great. We'll see you all next week. Ride safe. All right. Hey, everybody in the live chat, thanks so much. You guys were awesome. I know we couldn't really, y'all guys just kind of went off on different tangents there for a while. And I got to admit, I got more into our conversation. So really thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show. Please give us a like if you would before you sign off. We'd really appreciate it. And hope everything is going well with you all. We're glad to be back this week. I know last week, did we do a live show last week? We did a live show last week.
Yes, you did.
That was just Tom and I. So that was a unique kind of thing. So Ted, man, hang on a minute. We're going to end the stream, and then we'll catch up here just for a little bit. So everybody on the live stream, thanks so much. We'll see you all. I love how I look over to the live stream. Like they can actually tell that's where I'm looking and not just like off camera. So, it is a thing. We'll see you all later. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.